Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Gamer's review of Tekken with me, your editor-in-chief Stacey Henley, and our actual reviewer and lead news editor, George Foster. Hello, George.
Hello, hello. How we doing, everyone?
Now, we've both been playing this game for a little bit, George. You were the one who actually wrote the review, so 4.5 stars you went with in the end. Why
Yes,
so high, and why not quite high enough for a perfect score? Because I know you did Street Fighter last year, and that did get a perfect score from you.
that did. To my mind, Street Fighter Six stands as the bar for the genre, and while I think I prefer Tekken 8's combat in terms of what it offers with its modes, I would say that it's just like a step below. Still good, but just a step below, which I think is why I went for 9 instead of 10. But Tekken 8, bloody fantastic, so good. I haven't stopped thinking about it since playing it. When I'm not playing it, I want to be playing it. Um, I'd say probably the most interesting thing about it to me is that past Tekken games have been they're all quite complex. They're all quite defensive based. I'd say obviously you can be aggressive, but then Tekken 8 goes all in on aggression with the new heat mechanic, which is like a meter you can burn to do two special moves. You can either use it to smash enemies, it's like a big damaging thing, or you can use it to dash, which is just like a quick maneuver. Um, and at first, I wasn't too keen on it. Like, I enjoyed it because it's still Tekken, still feels good to play, but
Yeah, we had this. We played each other, and we both kind of said we didn't really like it until we played each other.
exactly, exactly. When you're playing the AI, it's like, it's too easy to just use straight away. So you think, right, I'll do some easy damage, get ahead, easy to use like that.
Yeah,
And then
absolutely.
it just becomes standard. Like, I don't want to say it becomes cheap, but when you're playing against AI, it's just like, I think it takes away from what makes Tekken so good, which is like having to think about stuff,
The
strategizing.
balance, yeah.
Yeah. And at first I was like, nah, I don't get on with this. This plus the rage drive, which if you've played Tekken 7, you'll know is the,
Once you're on
finisher
low
move.
health, it's like a
Yeah.
recovery mechanic, basically. Yeah,
Yeah. So if you've played that, you'll know what that is. But the two of them together, in my mind, when I was playing it, was like, so you have a starter move that can do a bunch of damage, then you have an ending move that can do a bunch of damage. And Tekken matches don't last that long anyway, so it feels like you only have like a little bit of time in the middle to do like actual fighting, if that makes sense.
no, I know what you mean. I feel pretty similar to you when I was using it in like story mode, and obviously the servers weren't fully online during the review period when we played each other. I didn't play anybody else in that time. I felt like the heat mechanics, especially combined with the rage mechanics, it was just giving you ways to whittle off a load of health. And Tekken for
Mm,
me has never really been about that.
yeah,
Tekken has
agreed.
always been about stringing a lot of moves together. Why characters who can juggle have always been rated so highly, because it's not supposed to be about one really powerful hit. It's supposed to be about seven quick hits.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so I did definitely feel that way when you're fighting the AI, but I do think most people are going to play online with randoms, they're going to play the friends, and then it's very different because if you use the heat mechanics right at the start of the fight, you're then in a situation where if it's blocks, you lose a lot of momentum early on. You can't really string it together with anything. I felt a lot of time I was waiting until I knocked you down, then as you were getting up, trying to kind of chain it into that.
100%. Yeah.
Then there's the idea of you can either use it twice for this the smash move, the really powerful attack, or you can rely on it to kind of burn out. Well, the rest of your moves are so much stronger.
Mm,
So there's a lot more of a tactical approach to these big mechanics that I don't think you see in the offline mode. And also, when you play, we played several matches, and there were a lot of times when the rage arts they did win for the person who was losing. They did kind of swing the match in the opposite direction. But other times there was a lot more balance to it. We sometimes we both got rage attacks in.
mm.
It made it more interesting, I think, when you're playing somebody over and over again. I think people are likely to. People are likely to sit down and play online, whether it's with the same person,
Oh yeah, you
whether
can't
they're
just
going
leave
to
one on the
play
table.
for an hour or so. Whereas in the story mode, you do it and you win the battle and it's kind of over.
Mm,
So I think you need to be, even if you're not going to play online fully hardcore, playing with friends or going through some of the endless modes to really get a sense of how good this mechanic is.
Yeah, that's how I felt as well. Like all the offline stuff, I was still enjoying it, like I said, but playing against you, which was some very close matches. I won't reveal who won the most because I don't want
I
to.
won the most.
Okay, but that was when I like my mind opened up a bit. I was like, right, this isn't just something you use at the start. This isn't just something that's there for an attack. Like it's actually strategic, and then you have to consider. It puts Tekken back into that place where it's like you're not just fighting, you're trying to guess what the other person's going to do. And then this heat mechanic is another layer on top of that to consider. And as soon as I started realizing that, I was like, okay, no, Tekken hasn't lost its edge. Even if it's more about aggression, it's still like tactical aggression. So I loved it. I think the mechanics. I don't know if no, I would say they are the best the series has seen. It takes some getting used to, but I can go
It's
back.
definitely different, yeah. We used random characters, and I definitely found the characters that I didn't know as well. I had more freedom with. I was kind of trying stuff that worked in Tekken 7 or Tekken 6 with some, I used Lily and Ling Xiaoyu most of the time in 7. And using them in this, especially against you when you're playing against someone who's actually fighting you, not just the computer, it's kind of struggled to mesh them into this approach. Whereas when we got people like Feng and Zafina that I don't really play as very often, I felt a lot more freedom to experiment with the new stuff that it had. So that might be a tip for people who are returning to it as well. Don't be too attached, maybe, to your mains.
Yeah, especially if your main is Negan or Eddie Gordo.
Well, yeah, but
you're gonna be
actually,
upset.
you do have a new main though, because you really, really like. There's 3 new characters in this one. There's Reina, Azucena, and Victor.
Yes,
You were a
and
big fan of Reina, though.
I love Reina. She is. At first, when I went in, I did a preview event for Tekken. I think it was back in December. It was back in December, and I played Azucena a bunch. I was like, right, this is the one. This is the new Tekken character. Like, this is gonna be the one everyone talks about. And I like Azucena a lot, but Reina totally clears it. She has such an awesome moveset. She's a really interesting character. Like, she actually has like a pretty big part in the story mode.
Yeah.
All around, she's just great. She's like Mortal Kombat 1, for instance. They keep trying to do this thing where it's like, here's the next generation of Mortal Kombat. Here's the one you're gonna love. It's Cassie Cage. It's like, okay. This feels less ham-fisted and like, this is the next generation. You're gonna love it. Get on board. Like, it's just, this is an awesome character, and she can carry the Tekken series going forward. I don't know if she will.
I think that's maybe because like Jin is the main character in this one. They haven't brought in Reina and made it her story. It's Jin's story. It's really the first time I feel we've really dug into what makes Jin tick. Maybe since Tekken 5. I know he's been a main character in a lot of them, but it's always been very big stakes, and there's been a lot more obviously with Hayachi and the whole Mishima clan story. This one feels like it's a personal story for Jin for the first time in a while. Maybe it's even since 3. I said 5, but it might even be since 3.
Yeah, and that was the big challenge, right? Like, Jin hasn't had the best character arc. Like, he makes his excuses for it in, I believe, 6, when he basically becomes an evil warlord and tries to start wars and stuff. And he's like, oh, well, it was to awaken the devil so I can get rid of it. I'm like, yeah, but you still cause war, man. Like, that's a tough thing to recover from for any main character, but I feel like they actually do it. They do Jin like a lot of justice. I think he's back in the good books, I'd say.
Yeah, I think I found Jin a lot more interesting in this version, and I don't really like Jin very much straight because I've been with Tekken for a long, long time. It was one of the first games that I got when I got my very first PlayStation. Tekken was one of the 3 games that was, or Tekken 3 was one of the 3 games that was in it. So I've been with Tekken really since I started playing video games. And Jin's always been the big mascot, and I've just never cared. This is a little bit different. I like it. What about the story overall?
It's really good. Yeah, I would say, again, I'm going to sound like I repeat myself, but I would say it's the best Tekken has had ever. Like, I wasn't that big on 7s. Like, I had some cool bits towards the end.
It's better than 7s, yeah.
Yeah, 100% better than 7s. But I feel like this is the first time I've really cared about the characters. Like, I do in a general way, like, I like them because I like their movesets.
Because
Like,
they're cool, yeah, because they play
yeah,
as them.
like, I think of Kazuya, I'm like, yeah, I like his moveset, and I like some of the, like, his aura, but I don't care about him as a character. Like, he doesn't really have much of a character, like, in my mind, but in this one, it's like, especially with Jin, you actually do care about what he's doing. Like, it's clear what he wants. He has some actual motivations and arcs.
Throws a motorcycle at a helicopter after riding
Yes.
said motorcycle up a skyscraper.
Yeah, it still has
Very
a cool
grounded,
moment.
down to earth, emotional storytelling.
But it does. It does. I didn't expect that going in. They put a lot of weight into that it was going to be a story mode that you'd follow Jin's redemption, you'd care about him as a character, and I really doubted that. I was like, no, I won't. I won't at all. Like, you can't redeem him. Like, he's just too far gone. But by the end, you're like, no, I won't spoil it here. And it's not because it's a particularly emotional moment, I guess, but there were sections of it, of the story mode towards the end, that were so, I hate this word, epic. Like, so...
It's not just epic as in cool, they have a really large scale to them.
Yeah, and there's a lot of stakes as well, like, but it is so... I guess epic's the only way I can say it. It literally nearly drove me to tears. I was sat there, looking at my TV, I was like, this is what video games are about. This is it. Like, it reminded me of Devil May Cry, like, a lot of the time. There were just moments like the music kicking in, characters you care about, there's like clear motivations, they're just going for it. I was like, this is anime, and I love it. What did you think of it, Stace?
Well, I was going to say, actually, to be a little bit of a devil's advocate, a Devil Gene advocate. It's a joke for Titan fans. My concern with the story is, one, the focus on Jin means it's all about Jin. There's one of the chapters where you do like a fake King of Iron Fist tournament in the middle, and you choose who you're going to fight as, and I thought that was really cool. I thought that was going to lead somewhere, but it doesn't, because that tournament's kind of interrupted before it gets to end because of the cinematics, and the story needs to go on. And also, there is one chapter where it breaks out of being one fighter on this side of the screen, one fighter on that side of the screen. They punch each other, get the health bar down, that's it, over. But most of the time, that's all it is, and there's nothing else in the game that isn't that. There's a Tekken Ball, which is a little bit of volleyball. I don't even really want to talk about it. I think it's just
oh,
rubbish.
Come on.
Maybe we'll dive into the narrative storytelling,
the intricacies of
involved, in Tekken Ball. No, but like, there's just I said this to you as we were going through playing. I wanted to either be another mode, like something like Tekken Force, something else in there, or the story mode should have a little bit more variety to it. Not just play as someone other than Jin, which would be a start, but just the approach to the game. There's a couple of boss battles, but even they're just slightly tougher enemies.
And they're not good either.
No.
I didn't like that part, no. The chapter you mean is a standout bit. Like, that moment, and it's needed as well, because like just over the halfway point, at that point you have just done fight after fight after fight, occasionally switching character, but really we're just Jin the whole time. And then this one chapter comes out, and it's like, wow, this is awesome. Like, I hope this is like a side thing. No, you can replay it if you like.
It's not, yeah.
Which is a shame, because I think that's the big thing that stops Tekken from being perfect to me, is that if you want to do something other than fighting, tough. You really can't.
Yeah, I suppose Tekken's answer and fans' answer would be go and play a different video game. But we talked about Street Fighter at the start. I am a huge Tekken fan. Always been so on Street Fighter. It wouldn't even be my number 2. I prefer Mortal Kombat to it. Probably prefer Injustice to it. Like, it's just not a big one for me, Street Fighter. But even though I didn't necessarily enjoy it that much, because I just don't like the game as a whole, the 5 stars that you give it, I thought were completely justified, because it did so many different things that the fighting genre kind of needed. Street Fighter needed as well after 5. It needed to kind of come back with a bit of a plum.
Yeah.
But Tekken is a very good Tekken game. I don't feel like it has that thing that makes me go, this is next, this is new, this is fresh, this is a 5-star game, which we didn't give it 5 stars. It doesn't have that thing that really grabs you. And as a Tekken fan, I love the characters, all my mains are back, the presentation, I like the new aggressive style, I like the tweaks they've made, but I just think it falls a little bit short. And I think the fact that Street Fighter didn't, it does count against it. You know, the three of us did the review for the two of us. Sorry, did the review with Eric on No Return, and we said it's not Valhalla,
Yeah,
and we wouldn't have said that if it wasn't so close to Valhalla. I feel like Tekken is the same thing. I'm subconsciously comparing it to what Street Fighter does, because Street Fighter just came out. It feels like it just came out. I know it was actually in the summer, but
Tekken doesn't help itself there by having Arcade Quest, which
no.
is a new mode where you create a little custom avatar, you go to some arcades, there's
like a little Xbox Live character. That's so weird.
They look so weird. You can only make monstrosities, which is fine, I guess. You go to an arcade, you chat to some people, you do some fights.
Some people who don't have real names, they're called like Gob.
And
Gob
Edge.
and Shoe. Jet.
But you fight these people, and as you're doing it, you have someone, I think his name's Max, maybe the only person.
It is Max, yeah, that's a real name. He's okay.
He's like telling you tips, he's like, do this move, do these combos, and like, I'm decent at Tekken, I wouldn't say I'm amazing, like, Mortal Kombat I'm really good at, Street Fighter I'm okay at, Tekken for like, the middle ground for me. I know you're better at Tekken than you are.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've played all of those together before, and you've beat me pretty. I mean, Mortal Kombat's not even a contest. You walk all over me with that. So yeah, there's definitely different skill levels for the different games.
Yeah, but Tekken to me, for me personally, is the one that's like the hardest to grasp because each character, I don't know if it's the third dimension being involved, but each character has so many moves, so many like stances, so many.
I've always found it the most like approachable. That's interesting.
I find like if I smash buttons, stuff happens and it looks cool, and I can just imitate that each time. But in terms of like learning it, like knowing what I'm doing, that takes a lot more time with Tekken. And so for me, Arcade Quest was actually pretty cool. Like I was like, oh wow, this is actually a very handy tool. And it's clearly trying to, well, obviously they've both been in development for a while, so I wouldn't say it's clearly
it's not copying Street Fighter, but they feel so similar. You do feel a little bit sorry for Tekken that it didn't get it first.
Yeah, because World Tour manages to do all of that. It teaches you without even telling you you're being taught. It's like, hey, you unlocked a new move, you should use this, and then it's like, you use that move, and it's like, okay, now you should use your move like this, and then you're slowly unlocking stuff. And that's all within a unique gameplay style as well. So there's fighting there, but there's mini games. You can run around the city and like beat the crap out of people. You can dress up. Like it's like what Arcade Quest wants to be, and that does mark against it, I guess. Like if that hadn't come out, they'd be like, wow, this is so new for fighting games to be so open about training. But now it's like Street Fighter did it better.
I think they both fit their own style of play though, because I know you're saying you've always struggled with Tekken, but Tekken has kind of prided itself on being very simplistic. One button is one fist, the next button's the other fist, the other button's the other leg, the fourth button's the other leg. It's not like other games when there's like medium, light, and high and low. Obviously they're part of the game, but you know with every single character, if you push circle, you're going to get a left leg kick or a right leg kick, I can't remember. But you know you're going to get the same one every time. And I think what Tekken does is the arcade's just kind of the set dressing. And whatever character you pick, it tells you combos for them. So like with Lily, it's the tornado spin, because obviously I played as Lily, and their moves that work for her. If you play as a different character, it's not the same button combos, because it's combos that are supposed to be effective for what the game's trying to teach you, and also that work for that individual character. Street Fighter makes it more of a narrative arc. You know, you have Luke, and you meet the different characters on the roster as you kind of wander around this world. Tekken doesn't have anything like that. Tekken doesn't have any sense of placement. You pick a character you like, and you learn how to fight as them. Whereas Street Fighter is teaching you how to be a fighter. You pick your own character and you build them out, and then you interact with these other characters with a sense of personality.
Maybe that's what Tekken needed then. Like I never thought of it in the sense of I loved it so much because I got to interact with all the characters. That really was part of it. Like seeing my dopey avatar like train with Ryu, that was awesome. And in this, you get Gob and Shu, and then then random avatars, and you just do some fights.
Yeah.
Normally, like it is still an effective training tool, and I love the approach that the fighting genre's got at the moment, where it's
Yes, me too.
trying to be welcoming. Like every game should have something like this. I just think that it needed to do something a bit more.
I think that's something that fighting games have struggled with a lot, though, as well, isn't it? Like, when we write articles, we tend to write them for people who would qualify for Evo. You know, we write them for the really top level, extremely talented, extremely dedicated fighters. And obviously that's a big part of the fan base, and fighting games tend to be a bit more niche than, Call of Duty or Pokemon. But there's a lot of people who get these games just to kind of fight with their friends, and I think that attitude being reflected in both of the games, part of it is probably, a survival instinct. They want people to buy the games, so they know the hardcores are going to buy it anyway. But no, I really like that direction as well. You talked there about the whole personality thing, interacting with the characters, not getting that. What did you make of that in the game as a whole? Because I feel it's really strong in the story mode, but compared to some of the other games, I know it can feel gimmicky, but compared to some other series, the conversations they have before they start fighting, some of them are really flat. Even ones where you think there should be a thing, like Nina and Kazuya should have an interaction, and they just say, like, time to fight. But a couple of them are cool, because Kuma and Panda, Steve and Paul I really liked. Azucena and Lily, but some of them are just generic.
It's weird, right? Like, story mode does it really well, and then character episodes do it like even better. Like the character episodes are so good this time around.
Great.
Like they're just like arcade runs with a cutscene on the end. But in Tekken 7 they sucked. Like they were so bad, not even worth doing. And then in 8, like they're so good. There's so much personality to them. They're well animated. Like they're so worth doing. And then these pre-match like bits of dialogue, it is really weird who gets them and who doesn't. Because like sometimes you just have martial law going, I hate rich people, like 5 times in a row, and that's it. But then you have like Azucena has loads of them. Like she has loads asking people about like what their favorite drink is, sort of thing.
Or what their favorite coffee is, all the time.
Yeah. And then people are like, I don't like coffee, I like tea, and like that's good, but then it should be across the board, and I still don't think it's that great. Like some games don't have it, like Street Fighter 6 doesn't bother doing it, but like Mortal Kombat is leading.
Injustice commits to it like completely.
Yeah. And I love that. That's one of my favorite parts of those games.
Yeah, I like that little sense of quirkiness. Right, come on then. Why is Tekken Ball any good? Sell me on Tekken Ball.
I don't love Tekken Ball, but I don't hate Tekken Ball. I think if you did it with a friend, that could be a laugh. I'm just surprised you're so.
Can you even do it with a friend? You can't do it online, can you? It's like
can you
a
not?
Couch thing. I don't know. I'm not.
I never tried, but I figured you could.
The servers have been on and off during the review period, so I didn't actually try, but I don't think so. Not sure. I wouldn't do it anyway.
Yeah, in fairness, if I'm jumping on Tekken, I'm not doing Tekken Ball.
The problem with it is it's just not tailored to the mode. For people who don't know what the hell we're talking about, Tekken Ball is volleyball, but you don't. It's not like the Dead or Alive stuff or anything like that. It's the characters from the base game. They have a different volleyball. They can choose what it looks like.
I don't know if that changes what it does though. I did that.
I'm gonna say no. I don't think it has any impact on it or anything.
Yeah.
And they can punch or kick the ball using the moves they already have in the game. So some people just aren't suited to that at all. Or they can punch and kick each other, but if they punch and kick each other, it doesn't do any damage, it just knocks people down. So it's mainly you running up to the line in volleyball, which is not how volleyball's played. Running right up to the net, which doesn't exist.
I would not know.
And then you have a boxing match where you can't cross over the net line, except you kind of can, because the game doesn't really stop you. Knock the person down, and then try and kick the volleyball so it bounces on them and deals a little bit of damage. I just find it's such a funny idea. They've done stuff like this before in Tekken, and I just feel like it just feels a bit phoned in. And the rest of the game, even though I think it's missing parts, or I'd like to see it done in a different direction, it never feels phoned in, and this mode just does.
So, like I had some fun with it. Like I wouldn't really think it was worth mentioning like as a upside or a downside. Like, I wouldn't be like, this is swaying me either
No,
way.
yeah, I don't. It wouldn't sway my score.
But I like it. Like, I think it's a bit of fun. Would I take it over Tekken Force or anything else that they do with it? No, probably not.
Definitely
And
not.
that's weird because when I talked to the director and producer of Tekken 8, Harada and Michael Murray, they were so excited about it. They're like, "We have Tekken Ball, yeah!" And I was like, at that preview event, I think I played 5 minutes of it there, and like no one else was fussed about playing it. So I don't know. It's weird. I feel like it could be good. I don't hate it, but I was just so.
I don't hate it. No, I hate it more. Talking about it as a review and saying like, I really wish there were loads of other things, but instead there's volleyball. If I was just playing it, and if I just bought Tekken 8 and played it, I'd be like, fine, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't care, and move on with my life.
I guess big question is for me, where does this stack up against Tekken 7 for you?
It's better than 7.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I don't have any problem with that. I think that the approach to the aggression in the fights, I think the rage meter works better here because of Heat. Even though I liked it less at first, I think they work in conjunction quite well. Because obviously the problem with rage is you have to be kind of bad to be able to use it. You have to be losing.
Yeah. Or play against someone good like me.
Yeah. You know. Whereas with Heat, you get to use it, and like Zafina's is really cool because hers is the spiritual hand of Azazel, so it reaches out and you can be quite strategic with that. You don't need to get up close and personal like you have to do with a lot of the rage arts. So there's bits and pieces, like I say, I'd like a little bit more depth to the variety of the modes. I think the story mode is a little bit too narrow. In terms of the gameplay, I suppose more than the story. But the actual fighting, which is what most people are really going to do, I think it's a cut above Tekken 7.
Yeah, I agree. I think I agree with you on every point you've made. I think we're in agreement. But for me, how much I liked story mode and how much that surprised me, and how much I was eventually swayed on the Heat mechanics, like, drove it up for me.
Yeah, I think I would have been between 4 and 4.5 if I was doing the review. I don't really need to think about that, and I played it differently to you because I wasn't reviewing it, so I could kind of take a break and do things with it. Whereas when you're reviewing, you kind of need to get through the story, in more of a focused burst, I suppose.
Yeah.
Anything else that you want to cover? Haven't we talked about the cinematics? They're quite cool. I think we should talk a little bit about how cinematic the actual fights are, not just the stuff in story mode. Every fight, thanks to Heat and Rage, has this sense of movement to it.
Yeah, I think that comes through with another Tekken staple as well, the environments. Like, to be honest, when I started playing, I'd totally forgotten that was like one of Tekken's things, that you could smash each other through stuff.
Actually, that does remind me. The character stories all being set in the arena, I think, is disappointing because you don't really get.
There's a few that aren't, but like, yeah, that's like 5 out of 32, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know what you mean. That is a shame, and I think that's why I'd forgotten about it until I got to Arcade Quest.
Yeah.
Because in Arcade Quest, just like you go anywhere, I think it just randomly selects a map.
It's fairly randomized, isn't it?
And then I'd completely forgotten how cool it was. Like when you're just smacking the crap out of someone. And then they're flying through stuff, and like there's one map that's set in like a meteor that's like flying down to Earth.
Yeah,
it's so cool. Like I just think, even just the way like moves are, how they're choreographed, like everything in Tekken feels cool. Like even when you're losing, like it's still cool. And there's so many accidental moments where we did this all the time. We're fighting each other, we just jump over each other. Like that's so cool. You do not see that in any other game.
Yeah, it's so like tightly refined, some of the moves. No, I think for me it's because the Heat does it's I suppose a tell to your opponent as well, but I like it 'cause neither me nor you nor many of the people that we play as are, pro level, so you don't really care about. We're not going to go to Evo. When you activate Heat and it kind of zooms in on the character's eyes and they do like something with their hands and you kind of know
Yeah,
I'm not going to be fast enough to block this. You kind of know you're in trouble. You're just kind
yeah.
of waiting for it to hit. Because some characters have some quite cool. And Leo has a really, really cool one. I don't actually like Leo that much
No, I'm not
as
big
a
on Leo.
fighter, but some of the cinematics that they have are really cool. Obviously, Lily's Rage is probably my favorite because I use that one the most.
Yeah, I like
Um,
Reina, so I feel like
she actually,
broken
I
record,
know
but
neither
hers
of
is
us really
awesome.
like Shaheen, but Shaheen's is quite cool.
Yeah, Shaheen is a weird one because I feel like as I enjoy like some of the things he does, but as a character, I'm like, why is he here? Like you have Eddie missing, you have like Bob, you have so many people that just aren't here, and then like Shaheen's there. It's
But
like I
he
know
does ride you
no
like a
one's calling for
surfboard
Bob,
over
but
the
you know what I
rocks,
mean.
which is cool.
Yeah. My final point to add to that in terms of cinematic and I guess cool factor, the music is like incredible. Like the main theme, what's it called? I think it's called "Pave Your Way," and then there's the like the intro song as well. Both of
Yeah,
them,
the
they've just
intro
been on
song's really
repeat.
cool.
They're just so good. Like Tekken's always had good music, and I feel that like I've got the jukebox on like play all songs from all games, and like every time I'm in, like, oh, this is a bop. That like easily my well, it's not even the end of January yet, but this will easily be like some of the best soundtracks of the year, I think.
Yeah, it's a little bit early for me to be pulling the trigger on this. Will be on my game of the year list. It might be, but the music is incredible.
Yeah, yeah,
Big fan of the music. I think pretty obviously, usually at the end we kind of say recommend. It's 4.5 stars. I assume big old recommend.
big old recommend.
Two
For
iron
sure.
fists way up on this one. That's it for this video. You can find the full review linked down below, as well as mine and George's discussion on heat mechanics. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and visit us at thegamer.com. That's thegamer, no spaces.